You got in. Godolkin University, the only school in America where your diploma can put you on a cereal box, a billboard, or a body bag. Your acceptance letter arrives on thick cream stock, the VOD International logo embossed in the corner like a watermark on currency, which, if you think about it, is exactly what you are now. Currency. You hold the letter and your hands shake and your chest tightens and there's this warmth spreading behind your ribs that you mistake for hope. You're right that your life is about to begin, just not the way you think. Let's talk about how you got here. You were injected with Compound V as an infant, a synthetic blue serum cooked up by a Nazi geneticist named Frederick Vogt, originally designed for adult super soldiers but found to have a much higher survival rate in babies. Your parents either signed the consent form or they didn't. Doesn't matter. Vogt told them you were born special, born blessed, and they believed it because believing it was easier than asking why a pharmaceutical company was sliding needles into newborns. You grew up thinking you were chosen by God. You were chosen by a marketing department. Some of you had it worse than others. Marie Moreau got her first period in 2015, and her blood floated off the bathroom tiles and hovered in the air like it had somewhere to be. Her mother, Jackie, ran in to help. Marie's powers severed her carotid artery. Her father, Malcolm, came next, dead inside 30 seconds. Marie was a child standing ankle-deep in her parents' blood, her little sister, Annabeth, screaming in the doorway. 8 years at the Red River Institute after that, a Vogt-run facility for orphaned kids with undesirable powers. No visits, no calls. Her sister stopped speaking to her entirely. Then an acceptance letter arrived. Creamstock. Embossed logo. Welcome to Godolkin. You arrive on campus, and it looks exactly like college is supposed to look. Modern buildings with clean lines and green quads, and students throwing frisbees that arc a little too far and a little too fast. The dorms are furnished. The dining hall has a salad bar. There are orientation packets with glossy photos of smiling graduates who went on to protect major metropolitan areas. The whole place smells like fresh paint and ambition. A brochure promises you that Godolkin is America's premier institution for the next generation of heroes. Underneath the brochure, in font so small you'd need superhuman vision to read it, is the Vogt trademark. They own the brochure. They own the campus. They own you. You just haven't read the fine print yet. Your first week is a blur of introductions. You meet the top of the food chain, Luke Reardon, Golden Boy. Number 1 in the rankings, a pyrokinetic who can engulf his entire body in flames and fly and generate enough heat to melt steel at 50 paces. Blonde, square jaw, smile like a toothpaste commercial. He's dating Kate Dunlap, a junior with telepathic abilities so dangerous she wears leather gloves everywhere she goes because one touch of bare skin and she can rewrite your entire decision-making process. You see Jordan Lee, ranked near the top, who shifts between male and female forms, one built like a wall with near total invulnerability, the other quick and precise and capable of firing energy blasts that can crack concrete. There's Andre Anderson, son of the famous hero Polarity, who can manipulate anything magnetic, ripping metal through the air like it weighs nothing. He carries his father's name the way some people carry a tumor, proud of it, terrified of it. And there's Emma Meyer, Little Cricket, a former child star who can shrink to the size of an ant or grow to the height of a 2-story building. The catch, and there's always a catch, is that the mechanism is tied to caloric intake. She has to eat to grow. She has to purge to shrink. An eating disorder hardwired into her superpowers. Vogt never bothered to fix that. Why would they? It's not their body. The ranking system is explained to you during orientation, like it's a feature, not a threat. Godolkin maintains a public leaderboard. Top 10 students get the best internships, the fattest endorsement deals, and the chance to be drafted into Vogt's professional hero teams. The crown jewel is the 7 slots, 7 capes, 7 figures. Your rank is determined by a point system tied to social media engagement, combat performance, brand awareness, and something vaguely described as behavioral compliance. Translation: how well you do what you're told. Post the right content. Say the right things. Be likable. Be marketable. Be a product. Rankings fluctuate in real time. You go viral for stopping a mugging and you jump 3 spots. You get photographed drunk at a party and you drop 5. A student with weather manipulation who saved 14 people from a flood dropped out of the top 20 because she had bad skin, and Vaught's focus groups flagged her as unmarketable. She's gone now. Nobody asks where. That's the first lesson. Don't ask where they go. You settle into the rhythm. Classes in criminal justice and combat technique and, this part is real, performing arts. Vought doesn't just want heroes. They want performers. You learn how to fight and how to sell the fight, how to land a punch and how to land an interview. Your professors grade you on technique, but your rankings grade you on engagement. You start checking your phone more than your textbook. Everybody does. The parties are like any college party, except that someone is always hovering 6 feet off the ground, and the bass from the speakers is being amplified by a kid with sonic abilities who can't hold his liquor. The hookups are complicated by the fact that some students have skin that's literally toxic, or prehensile appendages, or body temperatures hot enough to scorch sheets. You learn to ask questions before you get close. You learn not to ask too many. Campus social life runs on the same fuel as the rankings. Status: the top 10 eat at one table. The bottom 50 eat wherever there's room. You start performing even when nobody's watching because you can never be sure nobody's watching. There are cameras everywhere, Vought cameras, content cameras, your roommate's phone camera. Privacy is a concept that belongs to people who aren't investments. Now, about Golden Boy. The first day of your first semester, Luke Riordan walks into Professor Richard Brinkerhoff's office. Brink, his mentor, the man who's been grooming him for a spot in the 7 for years. Luke has been having hallucinations, fractures in his memory. He's been seeing visions of an underground facility. Concrete walls, fluorescent lights, gurneys with restraints. He's been told his younger brother Sam died by suicide. But the visions say otherwise. The visions say Sam is alive. The visions say Sam is underneath the campus. And the visions say Brink knows. Luke incinerates Professor Brinkerhoff alive in his office. Marie Moreau stumbles onto the scene. She watches a man turn to ash while Golden Boy stands there with fire rolling off his shoulders, his eyes somewhere between rage and ruin. He tries to kill her too. She runs. Jordan Lee intercepts. Andre tries to talk him down. It doesn't work. Luke flies into the sky above Godolkin's campus. He powers up. Every cell in his body becomes a furnace. And then he detonates. Gone. The #1 ranked student at the most prestigious soup university in America kills himself on the quad like a human firework, and the shockwave knocks leaves off trees 3 blocks away. The top slot is empty now. The scramble begins. You'd think a student self-immolating in the sky would shut the school down. It doesn't. Vought releases a statement. Counselors are made available. The rankings update within 48 hours. The machine doesn't stop for grief. It doesn't stop for anything. If anything, Golden Boy's death is an opportunity. Someone has to fill that #1 spot, and every student on campus knows it. This is where you start to notice the cracks. Andre Anderson discovers that his father, Polarity, has been deteriorating for years. Every time Polarity uses his magnetic abilities, his brain sustains micro tears in the neural pathways. Tiny lacerations invisible on any scan until there are thousands of them. Decades of heroism have left him seizing on the bathroom floor, forgetting his son's name, losing motor function in his hands. And Andre has the same powers, the same brain, the same clock ticking. Jordan Lee, ranked near the top, is constantly told by Vought that their gender shifting is confusing to audiences, not dangerous, not insufficient. Confusing. Vought runs focus groups on Jordan's identity the way a car company tests paint colors. They prefer the male form. It pulls better. Jordan is told this like it's constructive feedback. Kate Dunlap smiles through it all with her gloves on. When she was 9, on a camping trip, her little brother Caleb was kicking her shins, being a pest, being 6 years old. She grabbed his arm and said, Go away and never come back. She meant it the way a frustrated kid means it. Her powers meant it literally. Caleb walked into the woods. Search parties found nothing. Her parents locked her in her room for 9 years. Her mother refused to touch her. The gloves came on. They haven't come off since. Dean and Dira Shetty welcomed you during orientation. Warm smile, firm handshake, the kind of administrator who remembers your name and asks about your mother. She's the face of the institution, the reassuring voice in the glossy brochures. The woman who makes Godolkin feel like a home instead of a factory. Her husband and daughter were passengers on Transoceanic Flight 37, the hijacked plane that Homelander and Queen Maeve were dispatched to save. Homelander accidentally destroyed the flight controls with his heat vision, realized he couldn't land the aircraft, weighed the public relations math, and left. Every single person on that plane went into the ocean, Shetty's family included. She's been building something ever since. Underneath the manicured lawns and the modern architecture and the salad bar, there is a facility. Students call it the woods, the way you'd name a monster to make it less frightening. Concrete corridors, fluorescent lighting that hums at a frequency that gets into your teeth, medical bays, restraint tables, cells with reinforced walls and observation windows and drainage grates in the floors. This is where the missing students go, the ones who dropped out of the rankings, the ones with undesirable powers, the ones who asked the wrong questions or couldn't be controlled or simply drew the short straw when Dr. Edison Cardosa needed a new test subject. Cardosa works down here. Lab coat, clipboard, the practiced detachment of a man who has stopped thinking of his subjects as people and started thinking of them as data sets. Sam Reardon has been down here for years. Luke's brother. The one they told everyone had died. He's alive, restrained, and his schizophrenia, exacerbated by isolation and experimentation, makes him see the people around him as puppets, felt and string and button eyes. His brain has converted the unbearable into the surreal because the surreal is easier to survive. And then there's the virus. Shetty commissioned it. Cardosa built it. A synthetic bioweapon engineered to target Compound V in a soup's bloodstream. Harmless to humans. Lethal to you. They tested it on a student named Betsy, who could generate electricity and fire. Smaller doses weakened her, made her sick. Shetty's response was clinical. How sick can we make her? Cardosa increased the dosage. Betsy died in her cell covered in blisters. Shetty didn't flinch. She told Cardosa to make it contagious. Let that sink through the orientation brochure. The dean of your university, the woman who shook your hand at the welcome ceremony, has been developing an airborne virus to exterminate your species. Not Homelander, not the bad ones. All of you. Every soup. Because her grief doesn't have a thermostat, and the only temperature it knows is absolute zero. Kate finds out everything. About the woods. About Shetty's manipulation. The pills Shetty gave her to manage her powers were actually dulling her abilities to keep her controllable. About the years of being used as a tool to wipe students' memories, to keep them docile, to make them forget what they saw in the corridors beneath the campus. Kate had been erasing Luke's memories on Shetty's orders. Every time he got close to remembering Sam, Kate pushed it out of his head. She did this for years. She did it because Shetty was the first person since Caleb who touched her without flinching. Sam is freed. He and Kate stand in the woods surrounded by cells full of students who have been strapped to tables and pumped full of experimental compounds, and something in both of them snaps clean. They don't free the students because they're heroes. They free them because they're done being products. The uprising is not a rescue, it's a reckoning. Kate and Sam break open the woods, and the students who pour out are not grateful survivors. They're weapons with grudges. The violence spreads to the surface, across the quad, through the dormitories. Humans on campus, staff, faculty, bystanders, are killed indiscriminately. Sam's fists go through walls and rib cages with the same disinterested force. Kate stops wearing her gloves entirely. One touch and you do whatever she says. Walk off a roof, stop breathing, smile. Marie, Andre, Jordan, and Emma try to stop the slaughter. 4 students standing between the institution that tortured them and the classmates who are now burning it down. Marie uses her blood manipulation to blow off Kate's arm. It's the kind of moment that should make you a hero. Then Homelander lands on the quad. The most powerful soup on Earth. The man whose negligence put Shetty's family in the ocean. He surveys the carnage. He looks at Marie, a black woman with blood dripping from her hands who just maimed another soup to protect humans. And he says she's attacking her own kind. He hits her with heat vision. She wakes up in a room with no doors. Andre, Jordan, and Emma are there too. White walls, clean floor, no windows. Nobody tells them where they are or why. The actual heroes of the uprising are now prisoners. Vought's press machine fires up within hours. The official story: Marie Moreau, Jordan Lee, Andre Anderson, and Emma Meyer orchestrated the massacre. They are the villains. The footage is edited. The narrative is set. And the new guardians of Godolkin, the shining defenders of the campus, the faces of Vought's redemption arc, are Kate Dunlap and Sam Reardon, the telepath who erased memories for the administration and the schizophrenic lab rat they kept in a basement. Rehabilitated, rebranded, heroic. The Vought logo goes on their suits the same way it went on your acceptance letter. You came to Godolkin to become a hero. That was the pitch, the brochure, the orientation speech, the glossy photos of graduates with capes and endorsement deals and cities to protect. You were going to be one of them. You were going to matter. Here's what actually happened. You were injected with a chemical as a baby. You were sorted into a school that doubled as a research facility. You were ranked on a leaderboard like livestock at an auction. Your social media engagement determined your worth. Your professors taught you how to perform, not how to save. Your dean was engineering your extinction in the basement. Your classmates were being strapped to tables and injected with diseases. Your #1 student killed himself because the institution broke his mind, and the institution's response was to update the leaderboard. The students who fought back became terrorists. The students who committed the violence became the heroes, and the corporation that caused all of it put out a press release and moved on. You're not leaving Godolkin as a hero. You're leaving, if you leave at all, as a product. The diploma has the Vought logo on it, same as the acceptance letter, same as the brochure, same as the body bag, same as everything else.